Anxiety is not the enemy. I'm going to change the way you perceive anxiety forever. Now, most of you will see anxiety as the enemy, something to fear, to fight against, suppress, or distract yourself from. Sound familiar? Now, how's that going for you? Now, I'm guessing as you are here, not that well. So here is a fact. For most of you watching this video, anxiety isn't the actual problem. It's your perception of anxiety as a negative that is making life much harder for you. What if I was to tell you that anxiety can be one of the best things that ever happens to you? And by changing your perception and relationship with anxiety, you will not only discover the hidden benefits of anxiety, but also begin to take essential steps towards anxiety freedom and increasing your quality of life in ways you can't imagine. To help you make that change, let's do a quick dive into the physiology of anxiety, which I'll be keeping very simple as it can get pretty complicated, and I would rather we focus your time on what I feel are the most important parts of anxiety contained in this 6-week course. Now, we evolved in very hostile environments and we developed a natural negative bias to survive. In other words, we are very good at focusing on the negatives around us instead of the positives, and this increases our chances of survival. Now imagine you are moving through a forest tens of thousands of years ago, foraging for food, and ahead of you there is a long, thick shape which looks familiar and could be a very dangerous snake, but you're not 100% sure. Hey, did it just move? What would you instinctively do? Stay still? Would you run? Would you go poke it with a stick? Well, your survival and emotional parts of the brain, the limbic system, which also contains the amygdala, are not going to take any chances. And that is not a snake that could eat your face. Gross. Your limbic system will hijack your sympathetic nervous system into a freeze, flight, or fight response, also known as survival mode, and choose the best response to keep you safe. Now, your brain will also reduce connection to your frontal lobes, which contain the prefrontal cortex. This is known as your thinking brain and will try to stop you from being too logical, rational, and curious about the snake, as this could get rather risky. Now, your limbic system can use powerful, catastrophic thoughts and feelings about that snake to trigger freeze, fight, or flight behaviors because it wants to keep you alive, and it can get very imaginative about how that snake could hurt you so that you overreact. Flight and fight hormones, including adrenaline and cortisol, are released to help your body deal with the impending danger, and blood rushes to your limbs to get you ready for action. Bodily functions you don't immediately need, including your digestion, reproductive, and immune system, are turned right down. And you can get strong physical sensations, which may include your heart racing, your breathing will get shallow, your stomach is churning, you're sweating, blushing, there's dizziness, your mouth is going dry. You don't even feel like you are in your body. And yes, there are a lot more symptoms you can experience. In fact, there are over 200. Now, these symptoms come at different intensities and at different times. Some can be subtle, and others can feel overwhelming. No wonder so many people develop a fear of fear. By the way, if we later discovered it wasn't a snake, but a long branch or vine, we can laugh and we can feel a bit silly. But we would rather have a lost bit of pride than take a risk where we could lose our lives. Now, most of us might not live in the jungles, forests, or hostile environments, but we can still see snakes in the modern world. Now, of course, we often don't have to deal with imminent dangers anymore, but because of our own negative bias that our brains use to protect us, we can trick ourselves into believing there are threats all around us which don't even exist. Like a radar system, our minds are continually looking out to find hazards in our environment. Your brain is always looking out for everything you never want to happen to you. Now, thankfully, most of this occurs within your subconscious mind, but if something is pushing your nervous system to the edge, these negative predictions can rise to the surface of the conscious level to be noticed. Now, this can feel absolutely terrifying. So anxiety isn't the problem, something else is. Something is pushing your nervous system in your life to the very edge, and anxiety is the result. And it's the alarm system letting you know something is wrong. Now, for example, when a fire alarm goes off in a building, the noise can be annoying, but it's doing its job to tell you that you need to take action because there is a fire. You need to figure out where that fire in your life is. Your mind, body, and spirit are not happy, so they're using anxiety as a message to let you know that something is being neglected, something is wrong. In this way, you can see anxiety as a gift. In fact, it's the best thing that could ever happen to you because it's showing you that things need to change or your life could suffer in a much worse way if you don't find out where that fire is coming from. So how can anxiety be the enemy when it's there to guide you into increasing your quality of life? Now, I know this might sound hard to believe, but be open-minded with me and let me show you why. Anxiety was really a gift for me. It showed me that my nervous system was overstimulated. I was unhappy with my life. I was stressed, overworked in low-paid jobs with no career plan to aim for. And I avoided thinking about my future. I was in a cycle of consuming too much caffeine and too much junk food during the day and drinking too much alcohol and having terrible sleep at night. I was a mess back then, but my anxiety made me wake up and it made me turn things around. Look, I hated anxiety and I did everything I could to get rid of it, but that just turned up my anxiety levels even higher because what we resist persists. Anxiety was not the problem. It was my perceptions of anxiety which were the problem, as no one told me that anxiety is happening for me, not to me. Most people try to fight against the feelings of anxiety as they feel victimized. They say, I shouldn't feel anxious or it's ruining my life and I don't want to feel like this. This is the same as complaining that the fire alarm is too loud when the building is on fire. You're putting the focus on the wrong thing. Natural to do, but also one of the best ways to keep anxiety because this doesn't solve the root problem. Instead, our aim should be able to work out what in your life is on fire and how to put it out. Through various methods like fighting ourselves, distraction, suppression, or using medication as a suppressant, most of us do what we can to turn down the alarm system, quietening the very thing that is warning us of our root problem. So what can we do? Well, we need to do two things. We need to look at our lives and understand what isn't working that is causing our anxiety. But in order to do that long-term self-reflection, in the short term, we need to bring our nervous systems back to manageable levels. We need to turn down the intensity of your anxiety alarm to give you some breathing and thinking space. So hopefully now you can see anxiety isn't the enemy. It's simply an alarm system that is trying to protect you. We've changed the way you will see anxiety. Now, over the next 6 weeks, we're going to transform the way you interact with it. We'll start with short-term techniques to regulate your nervous system. These are vital to quickly reduce stress and anxiety when it arises. From breath work to mental techniques, I'm going to equip you with science-backed tools you need to turn down your alarm system. Once you're able to regulate your nervous system, we'll move on to longer-term solutions, the techniques and lifestyle changes you can make to finally change how anxiety affects you. Alongside our educational videos, we have a lot to supplement your learning. We have specific journal prompts to relate the learnings to your own lives, science-backed breathwork exercises, an anxiety tracking feature to monitor your progress, and much more. Now, anxiety can be a lonely place. I know that from my own experience, and it can feel like you're the only one in the world going through it. Let me promise you, you're not alone. And to show you that, we have a community feature. This would enable you to speak with people going through similar journeys, to connect with each other and learn from one another's experiences. I will see you in the next video. Your journey to anxiety freedom is about to start.